When I had first started working at the library one Sunday morning, I got a phone call. The library's on fire. So of course, I go racing over there, and thankfully it was not much. Stupid design, we had a power outlet on the floor, the cleaning crew had put water in it, it burned out the socket. Not a big deal. So I sit down, I kneel down and I start to clean it up, and we open the library so people can come in. And 3 or 4 gentlemen came and sat by me, and they said, "We've never seen you here before. What brings you to our library?" And I said, "Oh, I'm the director, I'm in charge." And they said, "All right, Mr. Director, who's in charge? What are you doing on your hands and knees if you're the big shot?" Other duties as assigned. And I stood up to leave, and one of them said to me, "Thank you." Why are you thanking me? What, for cleaning the floor? And he said, "No, for treating us like people. We don't get that everywhere we go. The library is the place that we come to where we're always welcome and we're always respected." And I say, yes, that is why I work here. Talk a little bit about what libraries have become. The essential community hub, the place where all are welcome, the place where everyone is treated with respect, and where you can learn more about your community. We're going to talk a little bit about the physical and digital changes that have happened to transform libraries into this new paradigm. Now, when I first started working here again, I was talking with an elected official, held up a cell phone in front of my face and said, "Michael, isn't this the only library that anybody needs?" No. Do we still need libraries? I've been hearing since 1994 that we don't, when the World Wide Web was first getting started. We've got the web. We don't need libraries anymore. Well, all the futurists who said that at the time are, of course, wrong. We're busier than ever, and in part it's because we are computers for many people. At libraries, you get broadband access. People who may not have it at home, either for economic or the location of their homes, can come to us. The bottom left here, you see our computer lab in our new library. And we teach people, we give access, we are computers. And we've harnessed that power to transform ourselves to help transform our community. Over here, I've just got a few stats. We don't really have time to go into much that might be hard to see anyway. But the bottom lines, these big ones that indicate a lot of use, are libraries. And everything else is something else. On the bottom one here, NASCAR, hockey, NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball totaled 132 million in 2019. Library visits, 1.3 billion, 10 times as much. They just wish we had our kind of attendance. People, and this is again a 2019 Gallup poll, twice as likely to go to a library as the next sort of common event, going to a movie at the theater. We are heavily used, and we're still needed. Now, community spaces, sporting fields, incredibly important. Young people meet each other, form teams, get a sense of teamwork. They might meet somebody they don't know from school. And yet, not everyone's going to have kids or necessarily be a child, so maybe that's not for everyone. Churches do incredibly important work in our community and help people form their identities, but we're not all the same religion. Some of us aren't religious at all. So again, that's not necessarily a space for everyone. Now, I spend a lot of times in coffee shops and bookshops. They're great spaces. Often these days they've got Wi-Fi. Get your great cup of coffee, sit there. But let's face it, you're really supposed to buy something if you're going to be there. And not everybody has the money to buy something, and they're not necessarily very kid-friendly. And we've had too many instances where in a coffee shop, the people of the sort that I was talking to when I was talking about the fire at the library, they're not welcome there necessarily. Now, our current library is co-located with the senior center. I love it. People of all ages in the library. The seniors are going to come on over. They might talk with a teen. How do I use my phone? We're going to set that up. They might help a young child with some reading who maybe is struggling to learn how to read. But you have an age limit. Our community is building a youth center, and I'm a huge advocate. But once again, you've got this age limit. All these spaces may not be for everyone. The library is for everyone. Job seekers can get help with a resume. Young children can come ask a degreed professional all kinds of questions and get attention and all the time in the world. People who are new to the country can come and take language classes. You can come talk about books. You can be in a book club. We're open to all, and we have something for all. Now, it has not always been perfect, and we've still got work in libraries to do. I want to show you a slide with a quote that dates from 1960, and it says, "Libraries should be open to all except the censor." And this is from John F. Kennedy, who was about a week later to be elected the president. And this was aspirational at the time. He was commenting on the fact that a lot of libraries in the United States weren't open to all at that time. They were segregated. Talk a little bit about what a censor is. Back then it might have meant somebody who would say, we can't publish this book, the government taking action against publishing a book. These days, that's not what libraries are seeing. We have a lot more instances across the world even of people coming in and saying, you can't have that book because I don't like it, even though it's constitutionally protected free speech. We at our library have had examples of one group coming in to say, we don't want that other group to use the meeting room because we don't like what they are saying. And it's not easy, but we are open to all, and we try to reflect the entire community, and our collection will have something for everybody. But maintaining that in a time of some division is a real challenge. I'm very proud of how wonderful my library trustees have been to make sure that that is the value of our library, intellectual freedom. So let's talk a bit about some spaces. Now, I'm not saying libraries are better than they used to be or more beautiful. On the upper left is the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh. Carnegie called his some 2,000 libraries that he funded palaces for the people. It's grand. Look at that. It's inspiring. It's like a cathedral of learning. And you go there and you feel a sense of dignity and of purpose. Bottom left is the Rose Reading Room at the New York Public Library. Beautiful ceiling, Rococo artwork in it. Look at those windows. This is a glorious space. You almost feel like you're again in a temple of learning. But not everything in those libraries is quite as grand as that, as we'll see in a minute. Let's look at some modern libraries and see how maybe we're trying to change to bring the best of that into the present. This is one of our older libraries at the sort of top center. Bottom right is our newest library. Now, this library has a wonderful staff. They're friendly, they're helpful. Got a nice little bench here. It's made to kind of look like a historic structure in our county. It's got these kind of faux chimneys. It's got a nice sort of Palladian effect there. That is not a window, incidentally. But look at how small the windows are. It's not really friendly and welcoming. It's all supposed to be inside, and it's shut off. Compare that to our current library. Window after window after window. Look at that overhanging arch which protects from the sun. There's tables and chairs there. You can sit, look at your device through our Wi-Fi, just enjoy your time there. And all these windows are important. They say, look inside of me. Look what's going on. Look at the front of this building. It shouts, welcome, come on in. You're supposed to say, I want to see what's going on in there. It's a beautiful structure. It's also symbolic. Libraries are places of enlightenment, and the light shows that. We are a place where you come learn. We are the people's college. Now, talk a little bit about how libraries used to look inside and how they look now. Typical library from the past, stack after stack after stack of books. You judge your library on how many books you've got sitting on your stacks. Really high, you can't see over them, often dimly lit. Not welcoming, it's a warehouse. Compare this to a new library, and you see it's completely different. Now, this is our new library, which is made to have kind of a nautical theme. You're supposed to imagine yourself walking on these waves. There's really no straight lines in it for the most part. And this is like a dock, and you see we've got water on the sides, and we've got these wonderful sort of circular lights above that. It's a welcoming space. We've got plenty of stacks and plenty of books, but look how low they are. You see over them. And you've got this grand sense of it being an open space, again, of light, of welcoming. A space where you want to come and sit. This is the children's area. Children's areas and libraries have become places of wonder for imagination, to fire that interest in learning. And you see we kind of got our nautical theme continued there. But this is an area back here where we have programs, and libraries are all about children's programming these days. We have dozens and dozens of them each sort of quarter, and kids come, they dance, they sing, they start learning some basic reading techniques. Perhaps even more importantly, their parents are given literacy techniques that help them become their child's first and best reading teacher. And parents get to hang out with each other. If you're a stay-at-home, or you don't have a lot of time with your kids because you're working, you may not get a chance to socialize with a lot of other parents. This is where people meet. They talk about their daycare, they talk about their schools, they talk about where they take their kids to the doctor. It's a community space. Over here on the right is a literacy element. And we've got these throughout the library in the children's area. They're designed to help kids learn. Very basic skills, colors, shapes. Which one is the orange one? How many balls are there? And parents just sit there with their kids. They work their way through it. This is our teen area. Now, in the middle here, which you don't see, there are stacks with books. But I wanted to show you the people spaces again. All these spaces for teens to gather. Over here we've got a bar for them to sit. They can plug in their devices. They can use our Wi-Fi if they're so inclined. Computers for them, gaming system. Again, look at these windows. Where else would you rather have teens congregate than in some place that's safe, meeting other kids they might not meet outside their school other than a library? This is our makerspace, increasingly popular in libraries. And right now it's not completely set up, we're just getting it going. But it's going to have 3D printing. It's going to have a Cricut machine which cuts shapes in fabrics and in paper to help you create designs. It's got virtual reality equipment so you can put on goggles and go anywhere in the world. It's going to have a sewing machine. People can come here, they can make things, use their hands, and get introduced to technology that they might not be able to afford at home or might not even know about. Libraries are branding themselves as technological leaders. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, Michael, I'm used to this quiet library. Librarians used to shush people who are noisy. Will you please shush somebody? Because I just want to sit here and study. Well, we have got you covered. At the top here, this is our quiet study room. It's set up with books on the history of our state and genealogical works. You can sit and study there. It's got these comfortable chairs. That is a fully functional fireplace. Bring in your cup of coffee. Sit. It's going to be quiet there. Even more high demand in libraries these days are small study spaces. They can be used by individuals, or they can often be used by small groups. That is connected. You can watch a TED Talk on that monitor, for example. You can have a Zoom conference, and you can simply talk with each other, do business planning, do tutoring. Over here's one of our study rooms. Now, our system's relatively small, but our meeting rooms were used over 5,000 times last year. Groups reserve them. You can have community events. For example, political candidates often do presentations in these at election time. The League of Women Voters gets them together. You can have all our community partners come in and present what they're doing to the community. You can have people just reserve them for their own events. Heavily used public space. Again, everybody welcome. And it's either a place where you can come be absolutely quiet, or you can plug into what's happening in your world. Now, talk a little about a really current and unfortunate event, the COVID virus. And it has been difficult for libraries. So we've really developed our virtual services. We've got programming you can watch online. And we've really invested heavily even more so than we had been in ebooks and digital audio. It's getting very difficult for us to maintain that content for you, though, because of certain publisher terms. These days, the big publishers who provide about 95% of the bestsellers will only give us a 1 or 2 year lease on a book. Every 2 years, we have to renew. That's not sustainable for us. And there are some major vendors who won't let libraries have their content at all. My favorite example comes from Canada. Last year, the Prime Minister published a book. If you go to a library, the digital audio version is not available because this one producer got the exclusive rights, says libraries can't have them, we're going to only sell it. Now, we're working with the publishers. We say they're stubborn, they say we're picking their pocket. We hope to work out the difference, but just know that this is a challenging time for libraries. This wouldn't be a library presentation if I didn't give you a couple of resources. Eric Kleinenberg, Palaces for the People. It's about how libraries and other spaces help create democracy, help fight inequality, help fight polarization. Susan Orlean, The Library Book, is about a burning of a library in Los Angeles and what it meant to the community and what libraries in general mean. And finally, some self-promotion here. www.readersfirst.org is a website that I manage. You can find out all about different library sort of problems and successes with our digital content. So we've talked about the changes in the physical spaces, the digital spaces. Your library is the essential bulwark of democracy. Come on out and see us. You'll find something you like, you'll fit right into a community, you'll meet people, and you'll be part of America. Thank you.